Hi, if you're watching this, you're probably a concerned parent wondering what cosplay is all about and if it's safe for your kid, or your kid is sitting you down and making you watch this video. I wanted to start by saying you are amazing and doing a great job as a parent by wanting to support and understand your kids' hobbies and interests. A lot of parents wouldn't even be willing to try, so I can't tell you how much this means to your child, no matter how old they are. The fact that you are willing to be here right now shows the amount of respect and love that you have for your child, and so for that, on behalf of them, I thank you. Anyway, on with the video. My name is Rose, I'm 26, and I'm a cosplayer. I earn money from this and have officially been cosplaying for 10 years. I'm a parent, I'm married, and have family members on each side that both agree and disagree with what I do. I will be going through the most important points first, and as the video progresses, I will answer questions sent in to me by my followers from parents and children and people of all ages that have concerns over people not understanding cosplay. And at the end of the video, any questions that I haven't covered, just leave in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. So what is cosplay? Cosplay is costume play. Cosplay. It's kind of like Halloween, but all year round. We tend to favour dressing up as characters that are more specific to books, video games, anime, TV shows, things like that. But we can also do it as just random characters too. There's no limit. In many ways, cosplay is just dressing up. Who can cosplay? You can be any age, size, race, you can have any background, it doesn't matter. Cosplay brings people together from all over the world, from all different walks of life. You're never too old to cosplay, so you could get in on it yourself. One of the biggest questions I get from parents is it safe? It's no more dangerous or safe than any other hobby or interest that involves socializing with other people. A lot of it in 2020 is online, so I do recommend teaching internet safety, but I recommend teaching that anyway, whether your children are interested in cosplay or not. The other issue you may worry about is convention safety. I'm going to be doing a whole video on cons for beginners, and it will include a massive chapter on how to be safe at a convention. So please keep an eye out for that. I try to bring out at least one video a week. There are predators in any community, online and offline, but these will be pretty much anywhere that children are anyway. These will be in sports, they will be in dance situations, they will be in even school playgrounds. So just doing cosplay doesn't make you any more or less vulnerable to predators. All we can do is our best to educate our children and hope that they trust us enough to come to us when they spot a problem. You might need to remind them every now and again because children do forget, but the important thing is that you know that they know they're safe. Cosplaying doesn't make your child more or less likely to be a victim. If it's going to happen regardless. Your child's hobbies have nothing to do with it. My favorite one, the benefits. Cosplaying is a great creative outlet, which is something that kids and teens need. Hell, even adults need it. It teaches new skills such as sewing, armor and prop making, photography, videography, lighting, acting, makeup, the list goes on, to name a few. All these things can help you on your CV in the future. I couldn't begin to tell you the amount of jobs that I've gotten with having cosplay on my CV. Every single interviewer has asked me about it, and it's led me to be able to tell them the skills that I've learned from doing so, which has made me look more hireable. Even if you've not picked up on any skills, the fact that they're asking you questions about it gets you to stick into their mind, making you more likely to be a prime candidate for selection. The cosplay community is huge, accepting, and vast. So joining it gives you a great sense of belonging, which is definitely something that teenagers seek out. In a time where everything is uncertain and changing around them, they need a sense of stability and a sense of a family away from home. Making friends in the cosplay community can really give that to them, even if it's just someone to vent to about the next game that's coming out. Drawbacks. So since I've covered the positives, let's get to the negatives. From what I can tell, there really aren't that many, and I've been here a long time. The biggest one and the main issue is bullying. But as I've said before, if these things are going to happen, they're going to happen. Just because you're cosplaying doesn't make you more likely to be attacked. Bullying can and will happen anywhere, anytime, any place, It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether that's cosplaying, walking down the street wearing a silly hat, or just watching a show that that person doesn't like. We would never get anywhere in the world if we all just didn't do things for fear of what other people would say. Football fans on different teams bully each other. Do they stop supporting their favourite teams? No, as they shouldn't. While we're on the note of sports, football players wearing their team's jersey to a match is just the same as going to a convention wearing your favourite anime costume. Aren't they both just costumes at the end of the day? There aren't really many drawbacks at all that actually are specific just to cosplay. Honestly, none that I can think of. Money. Cosplay doesn't have to be expensive. I'm going to be making a video on cosplaying on a budget very soon, so keep an eye out for that one as well if you're interested. Some hobbies do cost money, yes. Candle making costs a lot of money. Collecting figurines costs a lot of money. Hell, some people who are football fans, their stuff costs a lot of money, from jerseys to signed merchandise to football cards to going to matches. Very similar things. But especially while we're young and we don't have bills to worry about, what's the harm in spending money on things that make us happy? So long as we learn to manage our money correctly, why not splurge a little bit? Also, for the record, I have multiple costumes that only cost me about £10. I also have costumes that have cost me £400, but that's on me, and I did split the price up over the costs of months. I'm also 26 and have an income, so it's a bit different there. Before I go on with the concerns from my followers about their parents' worries, I invited my mum over to have a chat so that you guys could get her perspective and see it from a different side. Hopefully she'll be able to give you a different perspective from someone outside of the community.
Yeah, so this is my mum.
Hi.
But I was only 16 when I started cosplaying officially, because I didn't even know what the word cosplay was. But Mum's been dressing me up in costumes since I was dead little, because it's just what you do, isn't it? You see your kid, you want to take them to a fairy little photo shoot dressed as a fairy or a princess and things like that, and there's no reason that you can't do that as you grow up as well. Why lose that magic and just settle into a boring adult life where you don't feel happy, you know?
I always wanted fairies at the bottom of my garden, so I used to dress her up and take photos of her. You know?
So she just had one.
Just exactly.
If you can't find the fairies, make them. So did you notice a difference in me when I started cosplaying?
Yeah, it's like you're quite quiet in real life, and when you cosplay you become a character, so it actually builds your confidence up, and I find that when you're in character you're a lot more confident than you usually are, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's your life skill.
It definitely brings you out. It's helped me with things like speaking in front of a camera and public speaking, things like that. I never thought it would, because you get used to overcoming social anxieties because you think, oh, well, I'm not me right now. I'm this character that I admire.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Yeah. That's all I do, and I've made it so far, so...
It builds your confidence in ways you don't even realise.
Yeah, exactly. Were there any concerns you had for me when I started cosplaying?
When you initially got into anime cosplay at a very early age, the sort of little maid's outfits and things, I was a bit concerned how, not about you wearing it, but how people might perceive you who didn't understand it.
Because I was a minor.
Yeah, because you were young, that was all.
Yeah, and
it wasn't the actual outfits themselves, it was how people would perceive them.
Yeah. One thing I can recommend you as a parent is, if you want to support your kid cosplaying, you can be like, that's fine, just keep in mind to dress age appropriately. So age appropriate cosplays, there's thousands and thousands upon thousands of them. You don't need to wear the sexy ones. They can wait until you're at least 18 if that's what you want to do. Just dress appropriately while you're still a minor, because
I was quite pleased. It was almost like a little phase, that particular, and you got into more age appropriate things after that, didn't you?
I did.
As you learned more about it, you found out who you were.
Yeah, I was experimenting, you know, and
well, everyone does.
And because I had that safe environment of support, it was a lot easier to do it. Whereas I think if you were very full on negative about it, it kind of would have pushed me to do it more, because that's what you do when you're a teenager. You test boundaries. Yeah. So you test your parents to see if they're going to break, because you need that one stability in your life.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Is there a difference from you dressing me up as a kid to me cosplaying, do you think?
Cosplay and dressing up's basically the same thing.
Yeah, people can get a bit funny about it,
though,
but it is. It's basically like Halloween all the time, and if you were fun at Halloween, why not do it the rest of the time? You know, it's good fun.
You shouldn't just have to do it at Halloween or Christmas.
Exactly, as long
as it makes you feel good and helps you, it helps you overcome your anxieties and things like that. Then it's got to be a good thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because me doing it made you want to try it more seriously, didn't it? Cause,
yeah.
Well, like Rapunzel and Mother Gothel, we were thinking
Yeah,
of.
we will at some point. She'll talk me into it.
No doubt. And is there anything else that you feel like you'd like to tell parents that who are considering not letting their kids cosplay or are just looking into it and
I
things
would
like that?
say find out more about it, have a look round, look at some of the comic cons they go to in London and things like that, because they're very safe environments and lots of people do it. It's becoming much more acceptable to do it
Mainstream now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mainstream now, and it can only be good for the confidence at the end of the day. So just if you're a bit concerned about it, then just look into it a bit more, get some more information, because information, knowledge.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to put in this video as well.
Yeah, it makes you less worried if you know more about it and you know they're safe. Even go with them. I mean, you don't have to dress up.
Yeah.
Just go with them the first couple of times. Sound it
Exactly.
out.
Especially
see what you think.
Especially if they're still minors. There's
Yeah.
loads of little cons. If you're worried about them going to London, it's not like London is the only Comic Cons. There's loads of
No.
little cons.
There are even, I mean, this is probably not, it's probably for older ones, but the little things like a horror con. I went to one just for curiosity last year, and it was a tiny little thing just in a sports hall.
Because you went on your own, didn't you?
Yeah, I went on my own because my friend couldn't make it at the end of the day, and I just went and looked around, and there was lots of film memorabilia and things like that. So it was quite an interesting place to go, even not dressing up.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. And it covers so many broad categories. So it's not just anime. There's also the Marvel movies. There's also film buffs for like Stephen King movies,
Yeah.
for example. you know?
Everybody can do it. I mean, it doesn't matter about size or shape or anything
Or
like
age
that.
or race or
no,
anything.
because I'd happily have a go.
Do you recommend it?
Yeah, absolutely, especially for confidence.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my mum. I asked my followers, what is something your parents worry about with you cosplaying, or is there a reason that they won't let you? Some of the comments were absolutely heartbreaking, and I'm going to share them with you now. I want to know that if you are one of the parents of someone that has this, and you are still here in the video, please listen out and hear what I'm saying. They just think it's dumb. They say I'm not normal. They called me a loser, and they say I'm a weirdo. Imagine hearing that from your parents. If you think or say this about your child, that says a lot about you. Maybe you need to deal with your own insecurities before you project them onto a child. How well do you think they will do in adulthood if the people that they're supposed to rely on to love them no matter what and support them through thick and thin thinks and says this about them because of their interests and their hobbies? It's low. They are not hurting anyone by expressing themselves and doing things that they love. You should not be crushing that. It's your job as a parent to support your child and love them, not to bring them down. It is incredibly toxic and will give them a lot of mental health problems growing up. Please accept the fact your child is their own person with their own interests, and that's perfectly okay. You don't have to be into what they're into. You just have to respect it. Now that the worst is out of the way, this one made me laugh. They worry I'll get a disease from the makeup or the wigs. Well, first off, there's no cosplay-specific makeup, it's just regular makeup, so if you don't get diseases from wearing your makeup, your child shouldn't either. And as for wigs, it's not really how it works. Unless they're getting a second-hand wig from a really shady place, no. I've had the cheapest wigs from China, from everywhere all over the world, and I'm absolutely fine. I literally own about 150 wigs at this point, and I'm okay. Why dress up as the opposite gender? Well, I can't speak for everybody, but it's fun, and it's a good form of escapism. Like I said before, anyone can cosplay anyone. Why would fictional genitalia prevent you from dressing up as the character that you really enjoy? They're fictional characters. Let people be who they want to be. You'd be surprised how much it brings them out of their shell. Future employers' opinions. Well, as covered before, never lost a job for it, gained work for it, I'm currently working in it. So yeah, it should not have any effect on that at all. Even if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, you're still a person who's allowed hobbies, and something like this isn't going to stop that. Distract me from my schoolwork, as any hobby could. You could say the same about watching TV, playing video games, going outside. As long as you learn time management, which As a parent, you could teach your child some time management or help them manage their time if they are unable. Say, well, if you do all your homework on Tuesday, then Wednesday evening you can be absolutely free to cosplay all evening if that's what you want to do. You know, teach them time management. It's easy. They worry it will make me trans or gay. That is not how it works. If your child learns that about themselves through cosplay, then that can only be a good thing. If they come out as trans or gay, that has nothing to do with cosplay. It will just be that they've learned that about themselves. Just because you dress up as fictional characters doesn't make you gay, doesn't make you trans. This one's very, very closed-minded. And if you think that, I highly recommend doing some research on LGBT+. It's been proven that parents that don't support their children when they're LGBT+, makes them a lot more likely to commit suicide. I'd rather have a gay child than a dead child. I don't know about you. Lastly, one I got a lot, they worry about being sexualized. Unfortunately, we live in a very misogynistic society in which especially females are viewed very sexual for doing nothing. You could be in a t-shirt and jeans and still get catcalled. You could be in a cosplay and get catcalled. Why should you change what you wear to prevent someone doing something they shouldn't be doing? People have been sexually harassed and abused no matter what they are wearing. They could be in their pajamas, they could be in kitted up winter gear. Your clothes do not make you sexually harassed. What gets you sexually harassed is the people that do it. It's got nothing to do with your clothes. If you are worried because your child is a minor and you think that the clothes that are inappropriate and it's something that you do not feel you want to put your kid at risk for, then I highly recommend sitting down and chatting with your kid about which cosplays they want to do and what you feel comfortable in them wearing. Explain calmly why you don't think that's appropriate. Let them explain back. And this is to you too, kids. Calmly, not defensively, not aggressively. I know we all have raging hormones and we can get very defensive, but please listen to what your parents have to say because they only have your best interests in mind. But that's all I have, so thank you very much for coming. If you made it this far, please leave a bee emoji in the comments, and if you've got any questions that I haven't actually answered, leave those in the comments too, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you so, so much on behalf of your children and on my behalf, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye!